Hey guys, I'm gonna show you my method of waxing up my skis real fast. There's all sorts of ways to do this, and if I want to just get a good quick hot wax in before I run up and not do anything too serious like completely melt in a new one for the whole base, this is the method that I use for like a 5-minute quick wax. I've already prepped some stuff. Today I'm using Hurdle's hot sauce. I like Swix too. No promotion here. This was just the cheapest bulk wax that I could get at the time. And up here in the Cascades, I'm not too picky. If I'm skiing somewhere that's super cold, I might dial it in with a better wax. But what I've got is my wax. I've got a brush, felt side, hard brush side, and then I've got a little Swix scraper and an iron. You can use any iron. I grew up using a old iron that you'd iron your clothes with. And then got this fancy thing. Works the same. Doesn't have the holes in it though, so you can get a more even wax coat on there. So first thing you want to do is start off by cleaning your bases. Make sure that there's no large debris, little rocks or dirt or anything on there. Mine are already pretty clean, so this will be fast. I've already done this ski over here. You can use a rubber band or you can use a rope, zip tie, whatever you can. You want to get your brakes out of the way. So I've got a little piece of twine tied on this side. Pull this down, wrap it around the other side, do a couple of loops. You can tie it, you can do whatever. I'll make sure it's easy to get back off again, so I just loop it around. And call this the Crayon method. So if you're going to do a full wax, you'd want to take this bar of wax, you want to put drips all over the place, and then you'd want to get your iron nice and hot and then smooth all that out. The problem that I have with that is it wastes a ton of wax, and this stuff is not getting any cheaper, hence my big jumbo economic block of wax here. But if you're using more expensive wax, you're not going to want a pile of this stuff on the ground when you're done. And when you do the full hot wax method, you're wasting gobs of wax, and you know it's not something you can reuse. You got to toss that stuff because it's dirty wax at that point. So this saves you a ton of wax. If you end up with a deep gouge or a rut or something like that in there, not a core shot, but a deep enough gouge to where you need more than the Crayon method, you could always go through and do some drips. You may see me do that on a couple of these as we go. So without further ado, ski number one, this is it. You can use as much of this or as little of this as you want. But basically what I'm doing is just drawing the wax on there. If I get a deep groove, I'll park on it for a minute and really get it in there. Never worked at a ski shop or anything. This is just what I've been doing since I was a toddler. I didn't have my parents weren't the type to do everything for you. They were the type to let you figure it out. So every morning or evening before I'd go skiing, I would grab my dad's wax kit that he had in an old tin Folgers can, and I'd sit in his garage and I'd detail my skis, sharpen my edges. Skiing was pretty exciting for me when I was a kid. So I made sure I was prepared. That's it. So there's ski number one. Probably not going to be able to see it too good on a cell phone video, but I just have a nice thin layer of wax. I basically changed the color of the bottom of my ski to white. I'm going to do the next one real quick. This particular set of skis has taken some serious abuse over the last couple of years. And I've got a couple of core shots in here that were tough to deal with. One of which was in an S shape, and it kind of throws my ski off at high speed. I'm just pressing firmly as hard as I can without, you know, knocking everything down here. Try to get a good coating on here. You could argue that it's almost as fast to do it the other way with the dripping, but again, the volume of wax that you're wasting and the mess that it makes, not necessary. That's the wax method that I would use at the very beginning of the season for my first ski. I'll take the time to really get a good thick coat of wax on there, tune my edges and all that. But season's almost over. It's April, we're still skiing, grateful for that. I don't need nothing too fancy, I'm just trying to get down the hill. So, okay, I've got another one done. Nice coating of wax on there. The hurdles will tell you to heat your iron up to 200 degrees. I find that smokes the wax pretty quickly, and if your wax is smoking, it's too hot, and you can actually ruin the wax. It won't perform properly if you've burnt it. You could end up with sticky skis and all sorts of stuff. So we don't want to do that. I've got mine heated up to 140. I find that's good enough to make the wax flow, and it lowers the chances of smoking it. So I'm just going to do a real quick run, start at the tip. And what I'm looking for here is to see that wax melting behind the iron, and you want to drag it slow enough to where I'd say about 4 inches behind the iron is still liquid as you pass. And by liquid, I don't mean running liquid dripping off your ski. I mean, you can see as the iron passes, it turns really glossy and black in this case. A little spin in there around the brake. And I'm just melting the wax onto the layer that's already there. It was a little bit fast of a pass for 140 degrees, so we're going to do another one. Sometimes it'll take 3 or 4 of these to really get it in good. If you park too long, you get your ski real hot, and then you gotta wait for about an hour for everything to cool back down. That's my second pass. I'll let that cool for a second, go to the other one. Feel free to comment below. Let me know how you wax your skis. Maybe you got a better way. I'm sure everybody has their own little way of doing this. But this works for me. And I think it'll work out good for you too. I know your guys' time is precious, and I don't want to sit here and watch me wax my skis all day. You got that much time on your hands, you should probably be skiing. Okay. And like I said earlier, if you got a big gouge in here, like this is the old area where I've taken some pretty big hits, I'm gonna take the edge of my iron and my wax bar, and I'm gonna go ahead and drip some wax down into that groove right there. And I got another big one right here. So this is basically what you'd want to do if you were waxing traditionally. You want to drip across the whole thing like this, not just in the gouges. This way is all about saving some wax and trying to save some time. Mainly just saving this wax. So I'm going to turn up the heat just a little bit for this. I'm going to go to like 150. I got a bigger pile of wax on there now. I'm going to start back at the tip for those drips. And then when I get over to that area where it's thicker, I'll slow down a little bit and just make sure that I'm kind of pushing the wax ahead a little. That little brake rope just popped off there. Park on that area a little bit longer. This particular gouge I'm hovering over right now has been my nemesis. I'm a do-it-yourselfer, so I never really take these things in, and I got a really bad core shot that I was struggling with repairing with PEX. So I thought, you know what, I'm gonna take this into the professionals and have them do it. And I got my skis back and they look the same. I was like, sorry buddy, I couldn't really get that. Like, okay, so I ended up taking the time to really dig that scar out of there and get all the wax out of the way, and then heated up, preheated the ski with the iron, and then melted the PEX down in there real good. Finally got it to close up enough to where I could do your traditional wax over the top of that, and it's really not that deep anymore, but I can still see the scar. Again, slowing down right here because I've got some wax stripped on there. I'm going to fill that channel in. I'm almost to the smoke point of this wax. It's just starting in a little bit. So, and this is at 160. 200 is what it says on the thing. I think that's a little bit high. So that's it right there. I'll set this over here, let it cool off. Next thing you want to do is let these cool down. A little bit warm if you feel underneath your ski right here. I didn't really have the iron on here long enough for it to affect this too much, so I think probably about 10 minutes from now I'll be able to go ahead and scrape this down. So I'll come back in about 10 minutes after this cools. I'll show you the final step. Hey guys, I'm back. It's been about 10 minutes. Everything is cool to the touch. When I put my hands on here, I'm not feeling any heat at all. So everything's nice and set for the next step. Now, take my Swix scraper, and I'm just going to go over here, hold my scraper at about a 45-degree angle, and run it from tip to tail, and scrape off anything that's too thick or excessive. Don't need to push too hard here, just enough to scrape it. Since I use this method to wax the skis, there's not going to be a whole lot extra, except for where I did those drips inside the gouge. So right there, now I'm getting a build up. That's where one of those gouges was. Hang up right there. And off the back. I don't know if you guys can see this, but even with having dripped that over there right there, that's not a whole lot extra. If you were to do the other method to wax your skis, where you dripped across the whole thing, there'd be a pile of wax coming off of here. So I'll go back over it again and take a little bit more time and pressure right there. I got that gouge. And that's it. So that's all for that ski. Here's the next one. Same thing. Just a little bit there. One more. That's it. So now from there, got our brush. Kind of an important step. So right now, you can see, if you look at this ski, there's light spots that are white, kind of looking still. There's some shiny spots. When we're done with this, we want this whole thing nice and glossy, icy looking. So again, staying with the grain of the ski, I'm going to take my hard brush side and I'm going to give this thing a good scrubbing. This is where the magic happens. Everything gets polished up and nice and slick. Technically, you want to brush these until you're not getting any wax dust coming off them any more than you know you got a good brush on it. Same thing as the second ski. At some point I'm going to get a better camera and you guys will have a good view of the color change that's happening here. But basically it's going from like a hazy white to a satin black. And of course, if you've got neon orange bottoms or something, it's going to look a little bit different. But that first pass just about did it. Let me just buff it out. Second pass real quick. Okay. And now, for my own mental well-being, I'm going to get everything nice and straight. Basically, getting everything to go just like wood grain. Everything to go in the same direction. Follow the grain. It's looking pretty good. Now I'm going to take my felt side, and this is what's really going to buff everything down and make it smooth. So you can do long strokes, you can do tons of little short strokes, just so long as you're getting a good buffing in it. What I wouldn't recommend is any clockwise, counterclockwise. This is not waxing a car. So keep everything with the grain best you can. Not entirely sure how critical that is. That just might be my own thing, but to me it makes a whole lot of sense to not go this way, because if you're scraping things this way and you got lines in that way, you're basically creating grip. You know, that's what cross-country skis are for. Go downhill. And right now everything is just transforming. Any little spots that are on this ski that were still kind of opaque or hazy looking are now just turning into glossy, slick black. And that right there looks good. Couple more passes. She's slick. Ski number 1. Do the same thing for ski number 2. I'm going to get as much out of this season as I can before I got to hang it up for the year. As you can tell behind me, I'm going to switch into surfing here soon. That's it. These are looking great. As great as they can look for what they are. So there's ski number 2. So that's it, guys. I mean, sometimes right before I go up to, I carry this stuff called race paste in my bag. Or I've also got some, like this liquid Swix quick wax stuff that I'll go over the top of that. I mean, I won't need to now since I just did this, but in between waxes, there's other things that you can carry around to where you don't have to break out an iron every time. And usually got a couple different ways to do a midday waxing if you need to. Right now, as it warms up, that snow's getting really sticky, so this is important. Alright guys, I hope I didn't bore you to death. That's how you do the Crayon method. And what should be quick, well, we took our time today, method of waxing your skis. Maybe at the beginning of the season when I do my full drip method, I'll share that with you as well. And that's about it. Have fun out there and stay safe and enjoy the rest of your ski season. And hopefully we see you on the slopes. Till then, this is Michael and I'm out.